What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. Now it's time to talk about Mr. Scottie Pippen, right? Scottie Pippen is one of my favorite basketball players of all time due to the fact that he was just like a Swiss Army knife, a jack of all trades, could do just about every single thing that you asked him to do on that basketball court. And he's really, like, for real, because he played Rob into the greatest player of all time, he's super underappreciated because of that, right? And now we see the repercussions of that. Scottie Pippen lashing out at his own teammates, in particular, Michael Jordan, right? He's shown a great deal of animus towards Michael Jordan that I think will never be forgiven by Mike at all, right? I think now their relationship is permanently severed because of the things that Scottie Pippen has been saying for the last few months, particularly since he wrote his book that's coming out. I don't know if it came out yet, but I believe his book is on the way out, on his way to be in hitting stores. And now you see all these different quotes, Scottie Pippen doing interviews, and he has a lot of things to say. Most recently, he came out and said, basically tried to downplay Michael Jordan's flu game, or, the food poisoning game, if you want to say he didn't have the flu, right? I believe it was food poisoning, but nonetheless, Michael Jordan was sick in that game, and you can visibly see it in his eyes and all of that, right? Looked like he was about to pass out, right? That game is looked at as historic. It's one of Michael Jordan's most talked about moments, period. In that game, Michael Jordan finished with 38 points and got the win. Scottie Pippen says that what's harder, playing with a herniated disc in your back or playing with the flu? Scottie Pippen had a bad back, herniated disc, and that's something that he should be, he played through that. He should be commended for that, no doubt. He should be respected for that, because that is an excruciating pain that nobody would want to play through, right? But the fact of the matter is, Michael Jordan's game that flu game is gonna always be talked about. It's gonna always be praised and put on a pedestal, because Michael Jordan had 38 fucking points in the game and they won the game. In Scottie Pippen's 8-point game, in Scottie Pippen's bad game, he only had 8 points, right? So of course, Michael Jordan's flu game is going to be more talked about because his impact was more prominent, and he closed the deal, and he had all the major buckets in that game, for real. So that's always going. You got to use, looking at the context. Of course, Michael Jordan's game is going to be more talked about, even though you should be commended for playing with a bad back. The fact that you just didn't score 38 points, it is what it is, right? But let's get down to really why Scottie Pippen is feeling this way. I said he feel underappreciated because not only are you playing Robin to somebody, you're playing Robin to the greatest player of all time, which causes a lot of individuals, a lot of talking heads and pundits to talk down on Scottie Pippen's legacy, right? Not everybody, but I've seen a lot of people do it, in particular Mr. Skip Bayless, right? But the thing is, I think Scottie Pippen's animus is aimed in the wrong direction. If you're going to be upset at somebody, if you're going to have an amount of vitriol to somebody, it shouldn't be to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, from what I know, has never downplayed Scottie Pippen. Even in the documentary, he acknowledged when you say Michael Jordan name, you got to say Scottie Pippen with that name too. Because he knows he wouldn't have won those championships without Scottie Pippen. Seriously, they needed each other. But the thing is, even though Mike has addressed this, and Mike has always given Scottie Pippen kudos and given him praise and given him all ultimate respect and all of that, the problem is you have Michael Jordan, what we call fanboys today, extremists, that like to say things like Michael Jordan made Scottie Pippen everything he was. He wouldn't have been nothing without Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan made him into what he was. You have those extremists. For one, my father is one of those extremists. My own father says that type of stuff. And I look at my pops and say, Pops, stop it. Stop giving that man credit for making him a great basketball player. Scottie Pippen was a great basketball player coming out of college, which is why he went lottery coming out of an NAIA school like University of Central Arkansas, right? He was already nice. You know what I'm saying? Yes, he had to learn the game and learn the professional ropes, but he already had that game in him. Stop talking about Scottie like Michael Jordan, like he Michael Jordan's son, and Michael Jordan made him don't do that. Don't do that. Scottie Pippen was a great player. He had to grow and mature in certain ways, like Mike had to grow and mature. Now, Mike had no problem being a certified weapon, a certified gun, a shooter, like a certified killer, but Mike had to mature into learning how to be a team player. Scottie Pippen had to develop He had to develop, you know what I mean? He had to develop and learn how to play through the roughness and toughness of the NBA and become that certified all-star that we knew him for becoming, and the guy that helped to get 6 championships. But they don't talk about Michael Jordan made him everything he was. Like, don't cut that out. I don't like that. I don't like that he made him. Then you got other individuals like Skip Bayless who like to think that anybody could have filled Scottie Pippen's role and Michael Jordan would have still won those championships. I'm here to tell you all today, I know I'm young, but hell the fuck no. It just wasn't going to happen. The way Scottie Pippen defended Magic Johnson, the way, Scottie Pippen could cover ground, the way he could defend, he can bring the ball up the court. Like, Scottie could finish at the rim through contact. Scottie was a great player, man. Could hit the three, all the different type of stuff that Scottie could do. Like, everybody can't fill that position, not just anybody. You need a great player to do that. Not, somebody else would have came in and it would have just been interchangeable. No, even some great players probably couldn't have mixed with Michael Jordan. It takes a special type of talent to be able to mesh with Mike and to be able to help produce championships in that. Everybody couldn't have did what Scottie did. So I hate that everybody try to. It's not everybody. It's certain talking heads who love Michael Jordan so much they like to believe that Scottie Pippen was this ordinary, regular guy that Michael Jordan turned into a certified dog and all of that. Again, he wouldn't have came out of Central Arkansas if he was just a regular schmegular nobody. You don't come out of NAIA school as a lottery pick unless you like that. Scottie was like that. So you got guys that make it seem like, Scottie was just nobody and Mike just turned him into everything. Like, that's disrespectful to that man's legacy. And I feel like Scottie Pippen has been feeling it for years. We thought he took it well because we didn't hear him. Now we getting to hear his side of the story because he's releasing a book. But again, I think his animus is aimed in the wrong direction. Not that it shouldn't be aimed at Michael Jordan, but the people who talk crazy about him as if he was just any old dude on the block. And even you got certain journalists, again, like Skip Bayless, saying Scottie don't even deserve to be top 50 player of all time, which is absolutely preposterous, especially if fucking Bill Walton is in the top 50 greatest players of all time. Y'all got to cut it out. And them other names that I named on that top 75 list. But no, you're not going to do that to Scottie. You're not going to do that. Scottie defensively was special, 7-time All-Star. Even a year after Michael Jordan left to go on his sabbatical, you know what I'm saying, for those 2 seasons, we've seen Scottie Pippen still leading the charge for the Chicago Bulls. He wasn't Mike, so he wasn't able to get them to the chip. But at the same time, the Bulls they won 2 less games the year after Michael Jordan left. 2 less games than they won the year before. You know what I'm saying? And went to the semifinals. So Scottie was a great player, seriously. But you got people that downplayed his legacy, acted like he wasn't, like he just Michael Jordan's puppet. He Michael Jordan's son, and his like, you just Michael Jordan do boy. Michael Jordan did everything. You got some people talking like that, and Scottie has felt that. You know what I mean? Also, man, I really do think that Scottie Pippen is going through something personal right now. Scottie we've seen how the situation played out with his ex-wife all across social media, all the jokes. This is something that's out of Scottie Pippen's control. He's become the butt of jokes and memes for something that's completely out of his control. His ex-wife want to run around with rappers, with Future. She want to run around with young boys closer to her son age. She's having a midlife crisis. Everybody looking at Scottie like he's just such a fool and all of that. And, and Scottie then moved on with his life. He can't control that. But you got folks joking on him and all that, right? Then you got the fact that this is the most important thing. The man lost his child last year. I love my babies. I couldn't imagine if I lost my child, one of my babies, like what that would even do to me. Who knows, man? Like I don't know. Like I wouldn't ever be the same. Seriously, as a parent, we hope that our children vastly outlive us. We want to be gone off this earth first before our children. So I feel like Scottie Pippen is affected by all of those different things. You know what I mean? But I still don't like the fact that right now he's taking shots at the wrong person. And I'm going to be real with you. I know that playing with Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan probably was an asshole on a regular basis. Scottie even revealed, we're not as close as people think we are. Yeah, we sit and talk and chat at games and all of that, but we all hung out in their own crowds. And I've heard somebody else documented that, like, Scottie hung with his crowd, Dennis hung with his crowd, Mike hung with his crowd. And he's like, we're not really that close like everybody think we are. But at the same time, you got, Scottie is, I just feel like They did something historically great, 2 3-peats. That's special in basketball. But now their whole image of that is now ruptured because of how Scottie Pippen now feels and the stuff that he's coming out with, right? But I'm gonna say this too. I don't think that Scottie Pippen is exactly like all. I think it's some of the things that he said. There's truth in some of the things that he said, right? And I think his feelings are coming from a certain place with certain things, which I can feel is understandable. Not the flu game stuff. Scottie should have definitely told him his condolences on his father passing and all that type of stuff for sure, without question. That's disrespectful. That should have definitely happened. But there are certain things that I feel like is truth in what Scottie said. Scottie said that Michael Jordan only released his Last Dance documentary because the younger generation who didn't watch him now feel like LeBron is rivaling his legacy as the GOAT, right? He feels like the younger generation now is looking at LeBron like he could possibly be the greatest of all time because that's the era that they living through and they watch Michael Jordan play, right? You got certain guys, even that lived through Michael Jordan era, looking like, man, that dude LeBron something special. You know, yeah, he don't got the chips or the finals record that Michael Jordan has, but when it comes down to it, he could be the greatest of all time due to the fact that he's probably going to be the NBA all-time leading scorer. What he top 10 in assists, all of that is going to be a special type of thing that we see from him. Whether you believe it or not, right? LeBron is my favorite player of all time. However, I still got Michael Jordan number 1. I got LeBron James number 2. Whether any of you all believe it or not, I know a lot of old heads think LeBron ain't that good and he ain't that and he overrated, which is a whole bunch of bullshit that I ain't gonna get into right now in this video. But a lot of y'all just hate LeBron because of the comparisons to Michael Jordan coming out of college. Coming out of high school. Y'all hated him since then. You're hating him now. Or if you're in Chicago like me, you don't like him because, you know, people comparing him to the dude that came here and made Chicago popping the Bulls. You know, Michael Jordan came to Chicago, made Chicago popping. Or, you know what I mean? Or you don't like the fact that when he was in the Eastern Conference, he was preventing the Bulls from going to the finals, right? Nonetheless, you got to acknowledge that dude is that dude, right? And whether you believe he rivals Michael Jordan's legacy or not, you have to admit that those conversations are being had and that there are many in the younger generation who view LeBron as the GOAT in their eyes, right? And Michael Jordan hears that. He knows that. But then you got Jordan loyalists like David Kaplan from Chicago media that does on the post-game Bulls and he does all the sports post-game stuff for the and pre-game stuff with all the Chicago teams like the Bears and the Bulls. David Kaplan not gonna say like one bad motherfucking thing about Michael Jordan. He gonna kiss Michael Jordan ass to the end of time. I'm sorry, I'm here to say it. I'm sorry, David Kaplan watching. I'm sorry, you gonna kiss Michael Jordan ass no matter what. That's just what it is. David Kaplan gets on here and when somebody made the point, I think Jason got on there with Jason Williams, Max Kellerman, and Keyshawn Johnson. And they asked David, they say, you know, could it be that Mike made this documentary because he feels like LeBron, you know, because he feels like the younger generation are talking about LeBron as the GOAT, you know what I'm saying? And you know, his legacy is being rivaled and whatever. He's feeling that type of heat on his legacy from LeBron. And then David Kaplan talking about I don't think that's true at all. Like, Michael Jordan is the most confident person ever. He's the most, basically, he's trying to say in so many words, Michael Jordan is so secure in his legacy. He's a secure person. He's the most confident person in the world. He's not worried about that. He's super confident, the most confident person ever. I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm here to tell y'all this right now, right? The lie detector determined that was a lie. That was a fucking lie. And I know Michael Jordan not the most confident person in the world. He's the most confident competitor in the world. Outside of the field of competition, he ain't the most confident person in the world, because if he was, he wouldn't have severed his friendship with Charles Barkley for telling the truth and saying that the goddamn Charlotte Hornets were a terrible team. He was telling the absolute truth, and it's his job as a sports analyst, a sports media analyst, to say that when they're playing on television, right? Michael Jordan got mad at that, and he don't talk to Charles Barkley no more because he told the truth about the team being terrible. And that's how I know that Mike is an insecure person, just like other great athletes. He's an ego-driven person. He don't want to hear that, you know, he doesn't want to hear certain things. And even the great Michael Jordan like to have yes men around him too. You know what I'm saying? So all of that, oh, he's the most confident person in the world. He's confident in a sporting arena. In his sporting arena, he feel like can't nobody fuck with him, right? That's where he's confident in. Outside of that, I believe he is insecure in certain areas. I believe he is sensitive, overly sensitive in certain areas. I believe he does have an humongous ego, like all great players have. They have to have that ego to get to the top. But yeah, like I do believe that. Like I do believe he ain't the most secure person in the world outside of that arena, because he still would have been friends with Charles Barkley after Charles Barkley just said the Charlotte Hornets team that he owns is not a good team. He ain't talking about Mike. He really could have said Michael Jordan is doing a terrible job. He needs to do a better job. He didn't say that. He just said them dudes on that team, they terrible. They not playing good. And it was a fact, and everybody knew the shit. And you had other analysts saying Michael Jordan was, other talking analysts or talking heads saying Michael Jordan is the worst general manager of all time. Charles Barkley didn't say that at all. All he said was that these other guys, you know what I'm saying, them guys on the team, they not good players. They're a bad team, right? But Michael Jordan hearing everybody else saying he's one of the most terrible GMs of all time, and he taking that shit out on Charles Barkley. And Charles Barkley just kept it a bean and said the Charlotte Hornets were not a good team. So the same way Scottie is misdirecting his animus towards Mike, Michael Jordan did the same thing to Charles Barkley, right? Now, furthermore, this is where I can understand Scottie's gripe. Scottie, like, okay, this is the Last Dance documentary. Of course, you have to know that they're gonna. I don't agree with Scottie on that. They just talked about Michael Jordan. You know, Michael Jordan is the spear. He's the figurehead of the Chicago Bulls' whole entire organization, of the NBA, period. But especially the Chicago Bulls organization. You know it's going to center on him, and he's going to give his narration of everything. This is how it goes, and his footage has been shot a while ago, right? But at the same time, Scottie, like, hold on, we're talking about the Last Dance. Why are you criticizing me for a point in the season that you weren't even there, saying that Scottie was selfish or whatever? And many people felt like that, but he's like, hold on now. Yes, it all happened and we all saw that, but it's a lot of people that did not know that, were not privy to it, and people like, well, Scottie, you refused to go into the game. It's your own fault. You tried to have surgery because you were mad about signing that deal. You were mad about your deal, and you signed it anyway, even though you were told not to sign the deal by the owner or whatever. You told not to sign the deal. You're going to be worth more later or whatever. But he looking like, Mike, why are you attacking me and talking about how, basically I was selfish for not coming in the game and all of that? That took place during the season. You weren't even on the team. Why are you covering that? That's not a part of our Last Dance part. Why are you covering that part? You know what I'm saying? And people can say, well, it covered the whole entire span of them first getting to the Bulls organization, the years leading up to the Last Dance, and so on and so forth. But he looking like, man, Scottie felt some type of way because he felt like he was portrayed in a bad light in those moments, right? But the thing is, those moments did happen. Scottie did do that. But even then, right, I feel like Scottie Pippen should have won in the game and all of that. But I still understand Scottie feeling the type of way about Tony Kukoc getting the ball, getting to shoot that shot at that moment. When you think about it, I said Scottie Pippen had been living in the shadows of the greatest player of all time for the entirety of his career. When the greatest player of all time goes on a sabbatical and leaves for 2 years, at that point, Scottie Pippen has control of the reins. It becomes his team. So I understand him like, hold on, Mike is gone now. As long as Michael Jordan on the team, Scottie Pippen not taking one goddamn game-winning shot. This shit is not happening. Michael Jordan taking every game-winning shot available for the most part, right? For the most part, he's taking every shot. So Scottie's not able to have these big historic playoff moments that other all-time greats have that are on that top 50 list because he's playing with Michael Jordan. So the moment Michael Jordan go away, he looking like, okay, cool. It's my time to have my big moments of my career that I can reflect back on when it's all said and done. So he wants that game-winning shot because he wants to have that big moment that Michael Jordan has been feeling for the entirety of his career. And Scottie's always been the guy on the sidelines, on the baseline. He's sitting around watching as the whole thing take place. He wanted to have that historic moment, and he wanted to have those moments under his belt. He doesn't really he got like one game-winning shot in the playoffs. He don't got those type of big moments like that. So he felt like, damn, okay, Phil, this is my chance. Let me take us home, man. Trust in me. Let me take us home. I got us to this point, got us back to the playoffs. I got us playing well. Let me get the shot. So he felt disrespected at Phil Jackson for that. You know what I'm saying? Which I don't agree with him going into the game. Tony Kukoc hit the shot, so that's really what hurt. Scottie sat out on the sideline and Tony hit the shot, so it's making Scottie look like a damn crybaby and making him look bad. But I understand his sentiments at that point, man. He just wanted an opportunity to have his moments that the GOAT has had his whole career, that Mike has had his whole fucking career. You know what I'm saying? So that's what he feeling bad on, and he feeling bad at Mike highlighting certain parts on the team, highlighting bad moments from him. Scottie feels bad about Mike highlighting bad moments from him when Mike wasn't even on the team. So he feels a certain type of way about that, and he feels hurt about the fact that through all his career, you had certain guys that talking crazy, saying he ain't nothing without Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan made him. So he's pissed off about it. But again, I feel like his animus is aimed in the wrong direction, because I don't think Michael Jordan has ever undervalued Scottie Pippen, at least to my knowledge. You know what I'm saying? At least to my knowledge. So I don't think he should be coming at Michael Jordan with that. But I understand him feeling a certain type of way and having a certain type of right, man. But yeah, man, and this is the truth too. You know, I think too though, Scottie Pippen he's attacking Kukoc, he's attacking Phil Jackson, so on and so forth, and coming at certain players. And I think the team chemistry and the dynamic of the Chicago Bulls will never be the same. From that team, I don't think Scottie will ever be ingratiated into that ilk. Like I don't think he will be ingratiated amongst them anymore like that. You know what I mean? But I think Scottie is true to certain things Scottie said, but at the same time, Scottie is going through a lot right now. I honestly think Scottie should go to some counseling. I hope, he got that new liquor line coming out. I hope he hasn't been drowning, hasn't been drinking a whole lot, because there's just a lot of things going on in his personal life that could lead to some tumultuous things going on, and could lead to being so vocal about these certain type of things, and so demonstrative, so upset in his tone for how he's saying certain things. Well, he's not talking with a whole bunch of vitriol in his voice, but the certain things that he's saying, it cuts like a knife to certain people, man. And but I do believe there's truth in certain things that he's saying. Like I said, I do believe Michael Jordan conveniently dropped that documentary at the right time, because he felt like his legacy was being challenged, or in many people's eyes, he felt like people were challenging his legacy and trying to rival LeBron James' legacy with his. And it's something that he does not want. Michael Jordan wants to be recognized as the greatest player of all time. He don't want nobody ever being in discussion with him. He feels like it's a complete insult. He gets pissed off when anybody says anybody is close to his legacy, which I believe has even caused him not to ingratiate himself with LeBron James. And I don't think LeBron really cares. I don't think Mike cares about having a personal relationship with LeBron James. LeBron has reached a height that he doesn't care about having a personal relationship with Michael Jordan. But I believe it's why, Mike hasn't ingratiated himself with him, right? And people can say Mike don't ingratiate himself to nobody. But it's the same type of thing, too, I think, with Kobe Bryant, until later on, after a while in Kobe's career. You know what I mean? But I don't think he will ever ingratiate himself with LeBron James, because LeBron is that guy that a lot of people in the youth feel like is the greatest player of all time. Michael Jordan don't want nobody being talked about in the same breath of his legacy. I don't think Michael Jordan don't want nobody name mentioned in the same breath as his, in the same breath as his. But when it's all said and done, LeBron James looks like he's gonna be the all-time leading scorer in the NBA. The top 10 in assists. Got a whole bunch of records that he's broken. Got 4 championships, 4 NBA Finals MVPs, 4 NBA MVPs. He should have had more, honestly. MVPs as well. And Michael Jordan should have had more as well. But LeBron has built a great legacy for himself. You know what I mean? So I do believe Michael Jordan released that documentary because he wanted to try to put space between that conversation. Because despite what people think, Michael Jordan is confident in the competitive realm. Outside of that, yeah, he's sensitive and he feels a certain type of way about shit, and he don't want nobody spoken in the same breath as his. And I feel like he is an insecure person in certain aspects. And it showed with the whole Charles Barkley situation, why he ain't friends with Charles Barkley in the first place right now, right? But again, it doesn't help when you got a loyalist like David Kaplan and them that will sing Michael Jordan's praises to the treetops, but will not be able to be unbiased and criticize him when necessary, or they will say things like Mike made Scottie everything he was and all that type of, it's just ridiculous shit that they spew out that a lot of Michael Jordan loyalists do that has led to Scottie being like, hold the fuck on, hold on. I'm a great player in my own right. I was a great player, coming out of college, coming out of NAIA school. He didn't go to North Carolina like Michael Jordan. He was a kid from Hamburg, Arkansas, that was the equipment manager on the team at first. Then he grew 7 inches, and then he became, the Scottie Pippen that we know now. After he started, the skills developed. He developed his coordination with his newfound height, and he blossomed into a great player. But folks gotta stop. Like, I know you don't have to talk shit or down talk Scottie Pippen in order to build up Mike's legacy. Mike's legacy is cemented as what it is. But I think Scottie Pippen is one of the most underrated players of all time, and I think he is undervalued because of him playing in Michael Jordan's shadows. And I think that people don't understand how great of a player Scottie Pippen really was. Seriously, the things that Scottie could do. Scottie was a very, very great player. He just wasn't Michael Jordan. There's nothing wrong with that, and I want Scottie Pippen to recognize that. Scottie wanted to be recognized as the greatest player of all time. He just said in this interview with Michael Strahan, but I want Scottie Pippen to know, it's okay that you're not Michael Jordan. Nobody else was. It's all right. You know what I'm saying? You're still a top 50 greatest player of all time. They don't win those championships without Scottie Pippen. They don't. So, and that should be, Scottie should definitely, that should be something that sticks with Scottie Pippen, because he knows that in his heart, they don't win them championships without Scottie. Scottie don't win them championships without Mike, but at the same time, Mike's record in the playoffs is not good without Scottie Pippen. Without Scottie Pippen at that all-star level, man. So, it's a whole lot of things to divulge about it, but I want to talk about that whole situation. But I feel like Scottie Pippen is like, it's people that don't want to hear nothing that Scottie Pippen has to say or understand his viewpoint. And I understand his viewpoint very well. I understand like how he could possibly feel about certain type of things. When you got individuals like my own father saying that Scottie wasn't nothing, Scottie was a punk, he wasn't all that, to Michael Jordan had to make him tough, and Michael Jordan had to make him who he was. And I'm like, y'all got to cut that shit out. Okay? Y'all got to cut it out. Y'all act like anybody could just replace Scottie Pippen and it was going to be the same amount of championships. No, it was not. I'm sorry, Chicago Bulls fan. Y'all know I'm a Chicago Bulls fan all day, even though LeBron my guy. I'm a Chicago native, born and raised. But y'all got to cut it out. Michael Jordan was not going to win those 6 championships without playing with Scottie Pippen. It just wasn't going to happen. Matter of fact, Magic Johnson probably would have tore the Bulls' ass up if it wasn't for Scottie Pippen. So let's be real, man. But I do feel like Scottie does need some counseling, because Scottie is speaking from a place, I think he's using words that could cut like a knife. I think he just, like, the whole flu game situation, like, he's off his rocker with that type of stuff and saying he should be looked at, he want to be looked at as the greatest player of all time. I think everybody want to be looked at as that, but you got to be, in reality, you got to understand, listen, certain guys you just not on the same level as. The same way I saw why Stephen A. Smith say, Isaiah Thomas say, look, I know I was good. I know I was great. He said, but I know I ain't Magic. And sometimes it's hard for a man, as prideful as men are, we can't concede to another man that they better than us in certain arenas. We don't even want to hear that shit. You know what I'm saying? But, it is what it is. We know Michael Jordan is in his legacy and how he's looked and viewed worldwide. And Scottie knows it too. He was his teammate for all those years, so he understands it. He just doesn't. He's just tired of being underappreciated. He doesn't like his flaws being highlighted so much, or even highlighted by Michael Jordan, at least. I think it felt personal for him that Michael Jordan highlighted those flaws in the documentary, man. But I just think, he doesn't want his flaws highlighted as so much, and he wants to be more appreciated and more valued throughout his career. I think he just, I think he's hurt from you. I think he's felt like this for a long, long time. It's just taking now for him to come out and say these things. Some people feel like he's only saying it now to sell a book. And frankly, I hope Scottie sells over 1 million something copies. I'm going to read the book, to be honest with you. Scotty's still an interesting dude. He may not be box office like Michael Jordan, but I still feel like he's an interesting guy with an interesting story. A great player. And I hope his legacy does not be tarnished because of this. He's always recognized as a great player. Machiavelli Mills TV, I'm out. Peace.